Okay, to wrap up this series about the levels of consciousness scale and each level, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the different levels and give tangible, real-world examples in the form of music, movies, and certain people that everybody know about, from the culture that you can use to sort of gauge and understand and get a deeper understanding of each level, each main level. And this is in no way a complete table of of these things. It's just something I put together really quickly, and take it for what it is. Don't take it too seriously or anything, but it just gives you a glimpse or an insight or an overview of the scale in a different way that might be useful after you have heard about me explaining each level. And this, I'm going to walk through this whole table with you and explain different things about it and why I picked these different bands and people and whatnot. It's not something I've given a lot of thought to. I just really quickly put it together based mostly on people I know about myself and music I've listened to and whatnot. So I don't really have time to go and look for all these different music bands and whatnot in different that I have no idea about. I didn't take the time to calibrate all sorts of nonsense just because of this. I'm just taking things I know about, and then you have to go with that. So let's start at the bottom, level 20 to 100. So basically at the bottom of the scale you find the death metal genre and also many sub-genres within that same style. I don't really know about all these things, but I've heard about some of them. I listened a little bit to death metal when I was young, not much. Had a little bit of a period with that, but maybe for a few months I didn't really like it that much. But anyway, it's the kind of guttural, very low vibration, pretty horrible to listen to if you have any kind of taste, in my view. But anyway, it's the lowest form of music when it comes to levels of consciousness or vibration. That's death metal, both in the theme and the expression of it. And one of the lowest level movies I've ever seen is called Martyrs, and it's basically about a woman being tortured for trying to the people are doing it are trying to transcend her into enlightenment via torture. So that made it a little bit interesting. That's why I watched it. But it's the whole energy of the movie, and it's not only about that, but it's more the whole movie. The energy of the movie is really low. You can, if you dare watch it, I suggest you do it. You have something lighthearted to watch afterwards, because it's pretty dark and low vibration. And the same goes for Requiem for a Dream, which is a successful movie I watched when I was down on those levels myself, so it hit me like a gut-wrenching punch to my gut. That movie, Requiem for a Dream, I watched it when I was like young and way below 200 myself, and it really made an impression and really actually helped me in one way, because it motivated me to get out of those low levels and out of my addictions and to alcohol and whatnot, and try to do something for a change my life. So it actually helped to get that movie at the right time. Hit me at the right time, so to speak. But those are two examples of very low level movies. But most horror and slasher movies obviously in the lower end of the scale. So then we move on to people, and the Night Stalker is a famous serial killer, and also Charles Manson. I picked just a couple of those two people, and the Night Stalker is the lowest serial killer I ever seen. I mean, he is lower than Manson. Manson is around 50. Night Stalker is below that. If you go look at interviews with the Night Stalker on Richard Ramirez on YouTube, you can find this interview, which is really special, because he's like smiling and being superficially almost looks charming if you don't have any sense of energies. Then if you sense his energy, then you feel the whole video just draining you with energy all the time, like he's a black hole. And what's interesting about the interview is that he looks charming with his mannerisms on the surface and smiling and laughing and whatnot. But you can sort of see that if you have the eyes to see, you can see that he's basically animated by the collective shadow. There's like nothing there. and not in the Enlightenment way, like, emptiness like that, but the opposites are like he's a black hole. There's nothing there. He's just being animated by the collective shadow. You can sort of see that in him in the interview if you look closely, or if you have the eyes to see. It's kind of fascinating in one way, but if you watch too long, it will completely drain you of energy. Just watch even the video. So I can't imagine how it's like to be in the same room and actually interviewing that guy, because he's a pretty nasty piece of work. If you look at him, and his energy is just horrible, and he was like, he was reveling in the fact that he was evil. He loved it. Not all the serial killers are like that. Some of them, they shift between being normal and not. But this guy, he was a Satan worshipping guy and whatnot. So he's the lowest, as low as it gets almost. And then obviously Manson also is a big famous, not really a serial killer, but more of a master manipulator and mind control person who has the ability to mind control people. He basically learned that from being mind controlled himself, probably. He went through mind control programs, and basically very low level guy who has the ability to sort of slip in and out of channeling the collective shadow or the collective beast. And that's why he can sound so wise many times, but it's always, if you look into it, it's always sly and Luciferian. His so-called wisdom is always manipulative. It's always for evil. And then also I put Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and most cabal members. They are also down there with if you look at interviews, Hillary Clinton smiling and laughing and whatnot, for example, it's not that different from the Night Stalker. She's not as low as him, but she's not too far off either. She's above, she's around 50, 60 on the scale. I don't know. I didn't check. I haven't checked in a while, but I forgot. But she's down there with the serial killers, and you can sort of sense her energy when she smiles and laughs and whatnot. That horrible laughter she has. It's not that different from the Night Stalker when he smiles and laughs. You get a sense that there's just nothing there. There's just a black hole. And, that's what you get with Hillary Clinton too, at least what I pick up from watching it. And I don't watch it all that often if I can avoid it. So anyway, that's just the way it is. The most of the people who have been running the world, they are down way below 100. And they're actually oriented down the scale. That's their religion. They are worshipping the collective negative shadow, or collective Lucifer as they call it, and that's their path. They're on the dark path or on the negative path. So that's how it's been. So let's move on to level 100 to 200, and I put regular metal like Metallica. That's like anger driven and fueled by anger kind of music, right? Regular metal like Metallica is a prime example of that kind of music, right? Very angry energy. And the same goes for gangster rap and these kind of things. And I also put modern soulless pop music. And that modern soulless pop music is higher than metal and gangster rap. It's towards 170, 180, like the top of that segment. But still well below 200, still draining you of energy when you listen to it, and still completely, the shelf life of a modern pop song is like 1 week or something. There is no timeless music. There are almost no timeless pop music created since the 90s, basically. It stopped in the 80s. Then you have timeless songs from the 80s you can still listen to today, to this day, but nothing from the 90s and beyond that, in my opinion at least. There's very little. It's all become, you just use it. It's for one, you listen to it a few times, it might be catchy for a few listens, and then you get really tired of it quick. And that's how it's all become. It's almost like interesting how they managed to do that, because, to make music into something that has a shelf life of 1 week or maybe 3 hearings, I don't know, 3 listenings. But anyway, that's the kind of music you find below 200 and above 100, so it's like still... it doesn't mean it's bad to listen to it sometimes. You can still enjoy many things, but if you're like really into these things, you're most likely not very high level yourself. But anyway, for movies, I put just movies where the main point is violence, because there are so many movies in this segment below 200. And above 100, like there are all the action movies like Van Damme and Steven Seagal, these kind of movies where the main point is always revenge or some kind of these kind of things, and it's always just about the violence itself. That's the main point of the movie. They all calibrate in this below 200 in this segment. And for people, I just put hooligans. They're like the football hooligans and these kind of people. Like they are the highest in this segment. But then you have gang members and violent criminals, lower than the regular football hooligans. But anyway, like you understand, like it's criminals, it's violent people and whatnot. That's kind of people you find in this segment. And in the move on to level 200 to 300, I put 60s to 70s rock music, like these classic. A lot of great music came out at that time, from the 60s to the 70s. I listened to a lot of that when I was young, and also still today. I like the Doors and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and this kind of music. Like some of it might be below 200 too. I don't know. I didn't check everything, but overall there are a lot of that kind of music is it's a little bit above 200. And then I also put 80s pop music, and especially the timeless hits from that era. A lot of those are in the higher end of the 200, even maybe into the 300 sometimes. But for movies, I put quality movies with a deeper meaning that may also be violent, like Terminator 2 and The Matrix. And these are just a few examples. Like Terminator 2 is calibrates a little bit above 200. It's a really good quality action movie, but it has a deeper meaning, and it's not only about the violence. And The Matrix also, obviously, it's higher. It's like more closer to the 300s. The Matrix, it has violence a lot, but has a deeper meaning that resonated with a lot of people, right? So it's a great movie, but it's not super high, but it's still above integrity and above 200. And for the people, I put working middle and upper class people, and NPCs or non-playing characters, basically regular people in different classes, and also Donald Trump, who is at 250. So he's not super high, but he's above 200, and that is more than you can say about most of the candidates that's been up against him. But anyway, for 300 to 400 levels, I put Modern Talking and Systems in blue. And Modern Talking, I don't know if you know about that band, but that's the biggest band in Germany ever. It was massive in the 80s, for at least in Europe. I don't know in the States or whatnot, but Modern Talking is like they have make music in the mid 300s. And you immediately notice it if you listen to Modern Talking and their hit songs. They have many good hit songs, and if you listen to those songs, you will notice they immediately lift the atmosphere put them on at a party, and you'll see what I mean. If people recognize it, they will just light up everybody. Then they have that energy. It's like a very positive vibe coming from that music, and it's much higher than most music out there. And most pop music in general, because they found this recipe where they have like a choir they have like a refrain that's really catchy, and then they have a high choir repeating that refrain. So it's a very distinct style that many people like, and I still listen to this Modern Talking to this day. And it's really good for partying if you want to lift the atmosphere and get a good vibe going. And then you have Systems in Blue, which basically was they choired for Modern Talking in the beginning. They also claimed to invent that style of music, and they got into an argument or conflict with Modern Talking, so they started their own band called Systems in Blue, and they continued that style a little bit more 90s influenced, but they still have the same refrain and same kind of a high choir refrain like Modern Talking did, but they continue that style. So Systems in Blue is a lot less famous, but they have a lot of great songs that are similar. If you like Modern Talking, you will definitely like Systems in Blue. And this music actually helped me when I was in the dark night of the soul. Many times I would listen to this to lift my mood and whatnot. So it really is a mood-lifting music because of the high calibrations in the mid-300s for this kind of music. So you can check it out if you want to see what it is about. Anyway, for for movies, I put heart-based movies like The Shawshank Redemption, Life is Beautiful, and The Untouchables. And these are like just a few examples. You will find many movies like this that are, have a more of a deeper meaning and is not really all that much about violence, but has a heart-based theme in different ways. And these movies typically calibrate in the 300s. And for people, I put Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Pam Bondi, which are instrumental in Trump's new administration, or what. And all these people are in the mid 300s, or whatever. Haven't checked exactly where they are, but I don't remember exactly where they are because I calibrated them quickly. But they are at least in the 300s, all of these people, and that's much higher than previous administration. Put it that way. And for the 400s to 500s, I put this Norwegian Polish jazz musician called Jan Garbarek. And his music is very distinct. I'm not saying all jazz music is in the 400s, but his music is special and sticks out and stands out in a special way. So, and I've listened to him a lot too over the years, and it's definitely something unique, and it calibrates in the 400s. This music, it's very structured in one way, not like experimental jazz that's sort of chaotic. This is most of his albums are structured in a different way and have themes and musical themes and whatnot. So, I mean, he does a lot of different stuff, but at least most of his stuff or his best albums are in the 400s. So that's something you can also check out if you want. And certain operas and famous musicals and whatnot are also in the 400s typically. And when it comes to movies, timeless masterpieces like The Wizard of Oz and Citizen Kane and the 2001 A Space Odyssey, these are typical examples of movies that calibrate in the 400s. They are timeless masterpieces that you can watch again and again, right? And people do. And for people in this level, in the 400s, I put the Vice President J.D. Vance. He's a typical 400 person. And also Joseph Campbell, which is the author of The Hero with 1,000 Faces, who basically invented the whole hero's journey story blueprint, which later became adopted by Hollywood as the hero's journey story blueprint, right? So he was the one who did all the research on myths across time and place, basically from all over the world, and found out that, hey, there is a common thread, there is a common blueprint for all these myths, no matter where they come from or what time they come from. And he wrote a big book about it. But he's a typical 400 person also who is well known. It was difficult to find all that many. I just picked these two. I was just happy I could find at least two people who everybody know about in that level, because it's difficult to find well-known people in the 400s actually. Or at least I didn't have time to look too much for it. But anyway, in the level 500s, I put classical music. Obviously not all classical music, but most of it is in the 500s. And for the movies, I put Hachi, A Dog's Tale, which is kind of ironic in a way that you have to make a movie about a dog. A loyal dog is in the 500s because dogs are basically represent complete selfless service and unconditional love, right? So that's the only movie I could find that's in the 500s actually. I haven't looked, obviously haven't calibrated all that many movies and whatnot, so I don't really know. There are probably there are likely other movies also, but this is one I picked and I could find quickly, right? And for people, I just put me. Okay, you have to deal with that. I mean, I don't have time to look for other. There isn't that many famous. There are obviously many teachers and whatnot I could have dug up that are in the 500s, but not all people have heard about those people anyways. Those teachers, they are like, and I don't have time to calibrate, hundreds of people to just see. So I just ended with that, whatever. It's like kind of a fun thing, but. That's just to give you an impression of the whole scale with the more tangible stuff.